Welcome to a new episode of Mob Talk Sit Down. I'm Dave Stratweiser.
And I'm George Anastasia.
George is sentenced this week for phill narducci, a subpoena for another wise guy, and an inside look at things we don't usually talk about, mob making ceremonies.
Yeah, we know the procedure, but this is about the locations.
George, let's start with the news first. Phill narducci, former Scarfo era captain,
right,
did 28 years in jail. He gets a year and a half on a loan sharking bid. Pretty good sentence for him. Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't unexpected. That was the deal going in. You know, they had a good case against him, but they had a witness that was suspect. His credibility really was going to be attacked. So I think this was a situation where the feds kind of cut their losses, and narducci benefited from that. What do you got, a year and a
year and a day?
Year and a day. So it's not bad at all. You know, he'll be out in 8 months, whatever.
He's done. He did a couple at the beginning with no bail. Then he went in on his own in May. Did 4 months, so he's got maybe 6 in the bank already.
Yeah,
he could be out 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it was a smart move. And again, I think the feds had a case, but it kind of fell apart because the witness wasn't that strong. Yeah. And so everybody basically, let's cut our losses and we'll go forward. I think that's what happened.
Looked good on paper when it first happened. It clearly was not. This witness would have got beaten up pretty badly on the witness stand. Brian McMonagle is phill narducci's lawyer. You know he's going to operate with a scalpel there. Yeah,
Brian's one of the best at doing that kind of stuff, and there's so much back history with this guy, this witness, involved in drugs, whether or not he was working with the government on some terrorism cases. All of that would have come out, and I think for a lot of different reasons the feds didn't want it out. And again, I think narducci knew what he did, and he cut his losses and got a good deal.
All my past is in my past, he told the judge.
Yeah.
I want to go back to work, my family, and get on with my life. We've heard that before from organized crime figures. Sounded pretty sincere from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, and he had a good thing going. The restaurant is a nice restaurant.
Excellent, doing really well, too.
And people are imitating it, which is an indication that it's
all over
good.
The place, yeah.
Right, so yeah, he's got a lot of potential here to do something, change his whole life around, and maybe, you know, that was a stumble, and maybe he goes forward now. We'll see.
All right, sources also tell me that Marty Angelina, a captain in the Joey Merlino squad, got another subpoena. The first subpoena apparently went away, and I think he was just going to answer some questions. Now there's another subpoena to go to a state grand jury in Norristown. Can't be a easy position for him to be in the situation he's in now.
We talked about this before. I mean, this has got to be connected to something more serious than Marty getting assaulted back in 1992. That crime, the statute's already run on that.
Yeah, shot in the leg, you can't go there now.
So the only thing that you really can go back that far on is a homicide. Yeah. So, and Marty is not a target, so I think they want to know what he knows about a homicide. We'll see.
Probably looking for motive.
If he doesn't go to the grand jury, I mean, this thing plays both ways. If he doesn't know what they're looking at and he goes to the grand jury, he and those around him are going to figure out this is what they're going after. So maybe it's in their best interest for him to get in front of a grand jury.
And he's got a great attorney, Jack McMahon, former assistant DA in Philadelphia, knows his way around a courtroom, knows his way around a grand jury. I'm sure he's going to be very careful on what he lets Mr. Angelina answer or not, or maybe just takes the fifth.
Well, yeah, you know, but it's hard to, you know, if you're not a target, if you're a victim, and you're in front of a grand jury, it's kind of hard to bob and weave.
I don't think you can, actually.
So
you have to answer the questions.
We'll see how that plays out.
All right, George, we want to get to the meat of the issue here now. We're going to talk about making ceremonies, in particular, a mob making ceremony. Maybe 10 years ago or so, 4 guys get inducted into the Lucchese crime family with an odd spin here. Walk me through this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really clear who they got inducted into, but it had to do with that First Plus financial scam that Scarfo Jr. was running.
Nicky Scarfo Jr.
With Salvatore Palillo.
Yep.
And according to people we've talked to, 4 people were made. Sal Palillo got made. Salvatore Piccolo, Sammy Piccolo, Anthony Persiano. There were 3 of the 4. They were all involved in that First Plus scam. Nicky Scarfo Sr.'s in jail, and supposedly the story that I've been told is from jail, he okayed the making of these guys, and some old timer out here conducted a ceremony. Now, it's one example of kind of the bizarre nature of what used to be a pretty formal, sacred ceremony. And we've seen again and again with this Philadelphia crime family that the rules don't always apply. Persiano, Piccolo, Palillo, are they made guys? In their eyes, apparently they are. The feds identify them as made guys. On the street, are they recognized as made guys? I don't know. We see that kind of again and again. A lot of people did that with Ronnie Previte. He claimed that Stanford made him. Another guy said, nah, he was never really made. Yeah. The biggest making question in all of Philadelphia, I think, is the Ralph Natale thing. Yeah. Ralph Natale on the witness stand said, he had enough cojones to make himself.
Yeah.
And then later when he wrote a book, he said he had this famous making ceremony with not one but two mob bosses,
Yeah.
Carlo Gambino and Angelo Bruno. So
Yeah. That's a little hard to believe.
Yeah, making ceremonies in Philadelphia have been very suspect, and now you're picking up other information which is intriguing about how they go down and where they go down, more importantly where they go down.
Before we go away from that though, what was the reason behind that? Was it to get a crew together for Nicky Jr. to protect him? Or what was behind that?
My understanding with that whole First Plus thing was these guys were working with First Plus. Part of that whole, when we were covering it back then, one of the things Scarfo Sr. wanted was an attorney connected with First Plus to handle his appeal to try to get him out of jail. They were feeding him a line while he was in jail, we're going to get you out. And I think this was kind of a reward for working hard for the First Plus situation. Palillo certainly was working with Scarfo Jr. and then Persiano and Piccolo were involved in companies right here in Philadelphia that were connected to First Plus.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if they were made as Lucchese's, if they were made as Philadelphia guys, or if they were made in their own mind. But that's part of the intriguing
And we can confirm this now because Anthony Persiano is a government witness from what we've been told and seen all around, and if he got made, he must know about the ceremony, right?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, the question is, will we ever see him on the witness stand? And
Probably not.
It's starting to look like we're not going to see him on the witness stand.
Yeah, just not reliable here.
Yeah, much the same as in the Narducci case. I mean, Persiano helped the feds make some cases. Some guys pled out, some serious drug cases, but I don't think, given his backstory, given all the people he supposedly ripped off, that you're ever going to see him on the witness stand. One of the interesting things about Persiano, if you look at, he's pled guilty and is supposed to be sentenced in December to, I think, mail fraud and wire fraud.
Yeah.
The time frame within which he pled guilty is 2014, 2015. He put on a wire and worked for the FBI after that. And according to people both of us have talked to, he was still wheeling and dealing and scamming.
Lawsuits too.
Right, a $150,000 lawsuit. He was still wheeling and dealing and scamming while he's wired up for the FBI. That, given the time frame they said in the information, that doesn't cover that period.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the Fed's way out of that. You know, here's what we got him on, here's what he's pleading guilty to over there.
Let's talk about making ceremonies current day.
Right.
Because we're hearing some interesting information about what's being done. You confirmed at least one of those making ceremonies. Let's start with that one. It goes back a little bit, but it's a wedding. Yeah,
it was a wedding. Tyrone Denitis, a mob associate, I think his daughter was being married. And what I'm being told is in the midst of the wedding, everybody's there, everybody's dressed, it's a big crowd.
Big celebration.
Right, and in the midst of the wedding, a couple guys, a dozen guys kind of excused themselves going to another room, and a making ceremony occurs. And when you think about it, it's a very clever way to operate because you've got a mass gathering of people for a celebration. There's no, why are these people there? Well, they're there for the wedding.
Right.
Whereas if you're having a making ceremony, solely as a making ceremony, the feds get wind of it, this group met here, why are they meeting there, let's bug that place. So I think what you're hearing is the Denitis thing was kind of a precursor to a consistent pattern of celebrations, parties, making ceremonies.
Well, I'll tell you about my story. The story I have confirmed from a high-ranking source in law enforcement is that one of Joey Merlino's crew, high-ranking guy, daughter getting christened back in the 90s. And the FBI gets wind that there might be a making ceremony or some big meeting of the Merlino crew at this christening. So they get a court order to go in there. They sneak in through a store nearby, next door to it, go in, bug the place, and they wire up your guy, Ron Previn. And in he goes to make recordings. Now, we've never heard those recordings, so whatever they were looking for, I'm assuming they didn't find.
Yeah, but it was the same kind of pattern. And I think the other thing that's interesting to watch, I mean, and you've put together a list, we're not going to talk about names now, but guys who have recently gotten made, where they've gotten made, how they've gotten made, we pretty much know the ceremony. The bigger question is, why did they get made? It used to be to get made, you had to be involved in a murder in some fashion. Kill a guy, set a guy up, get rid of the body. You had to be culpable in some way of murder. That seems to have gone by the boards. I mean, there hasn't been that much violence here, but yet guys are still getting made. And I think that's indicative of the new leadership of the mob here. It's about the chicken. It's all about the chicken. It's about the money.
Yeah.
And guys that are making money.
No surprise there. If Joey Merlino's running the mob allegedly, he's all about the money.
Yeah.
So if you have money and you're a money maker, you're in with him.
Yeah, you're an earner. Maybe that's enough to get made. Didn't used to be that way in the old days, but you know, this is 2019. Times have changed.
15 to 17 new guys since 2001.
That's the information you're getting.
That's what I have, and the names are very interesting. You'd know them if we wanted to go through them. We're not going to do that right now.
Right.
But these are almost like pop-up making ceremonies. like maybe only 1 or 2 guys know when they go to the ceremony that they're going to do it. So there's no advanced knowledge, so people can talk about it, and maybe the FBI can get in, bug the place, and wire it up. We know all the stuff that the FBI went through trying to get inside Anthony Stano's wedding back in like 2010.
Remember that? Sure, yeah.
Oh, there was a big fight about subpoenaing the photos from the wedding.
Exactly,
we have one of them, a group photo, black and white photo, that the FBI went to the wall on trying to get from the photographer, and they fought that.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time. Why were they so interested in what went on at that wedding?
And apparently it goes back to what we're just talking about, that the feds believe more than just a wedding ceremony was taking place. And it's interesting. I say it's a very clever way to disguise what you're doing. Very smart. Yeah. And that's where we are today. Now, what does it all mean in terms of investigations? I don't know. We've been waiting now for a shoe to drop from this FBI office in Philadelphia for what, 6, 7 years?
Yeah.
And we've seen very little so far.
Yeah. Be interesting to see if they have any of that on tape. Yeah. We know of quite a few weddings, birthday parties, christenings over the last 10 years or so. We know there's a lot of new members. Supposedly this is a backroom thing. The door is guarded. Takes 40 minutes, 35 minutes, whatever. Out they come and everybody parties and celebrates. But we're at a wedding, so that's what we're supposed to do.
And everybody's dressed very nice.
Your favorite line. Sometimes a party is just a party.
That's what Ronnie used to say. Yeah. But I mean, everybody's dressed very well. You know, Nick Caramonti talked about his making ceremony. It was at a private home outside of Philadelphia. And for him, it was almost like a religious thing. He had to wear a nice suit and tie and got all dressed up, went to the ceremony. I mean, and so if you're at a wedding or a christening, you're already dressed nice, so you're
ready to go.
Halfway there, yeah.
There you go. All right, George, let's wrap this up with a little Joey Merlino news coming out of prison in October.
That's right. He cut that deal and he got a good break. Question is, does he stay in Florida or does he come back up here?
Sounds like he's going to a halfway house first. This ought to make things pretty interesting down the line.
Absolutely.
See you next time.